Let's bring in Alex Conant in our Washington bureau. He's a CBSN political contributor and former communications director for Senator Marco Rubio. Alex, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon.
So we have been talking for months about Russian interference and what congressional hearings might look like. What are you watching for on Monday?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how forthcoming the FBI director is with Congress about the ongoing investigations. Oftentimes, they've briefed him in the classified setting, but we haven't heard much from Comey. In fact, we haven't heard anything from Comey in a public setting about what they exactly are investigating. Is there any evidence of collusion between the Trump administration or the Trump campaign and the Russian government? We don't know the answers to some very basic questions that people have been speculating about for months now. And it's very important, not just so that we can put to rest some of the ongoing or continuing questions about the 2016 election, but how do we make sure that the Russian government or other foreign governments don't meddle in future elections? These are the questions that I think the intelligence committees are trying to get to the bottom of, and we'll start to get some answers this week.
Well, the leaders of the Intelligence Committee have delivered a number of public statements on their investigation. We even heard Devin Nunes say there's no evidence of collusion with the Trump campaign. So what is the specific role of these hearings?
Well, I think the specific role of these hearings is to find out what did the Russian government do during the campaign and how do we prevent that from happening again in the future. As you know, President Obama put some sanctions on Russia. The Trump administration seems to be skeptical about those sanctions. Ultimately, it's going to be up to Congress to decide whether or not we continue to sanction the Russian government. Many members of Congress believe the sanctions are very important because you need to create some sort of penalty for meddling in our democracy. Otherwise, you're going to invite other foreign governments from doing it. So that at the heart of it is what these investigations, what these hearings are about. Of course, there's all sorts of other issues, including the president's claims that the Obama administration wiretapped Trump Tower. I'm sure we'll have some discussion about that this week as well.
All right, well, let's turn to health care. Here is how House Speaker Paul Ryan Sunday described the president's role in these negotiations. Take a listen.
So what would you say are the prospects that you have the votes and we'll be able to pass it on Thursday?
Yeah, I feel very good about it, actually. I feel like it's exactly where we want to be. And the reason I feel so good about this is because the president has become a great closer. He is the one who has helped negotiate changes to this bill with members from all over our caucus. I call it getting the sweet spot.
All right, so Speaker Ryan calls the president a closer. So interesting to watch this dynamic. What exactly is the division of labor, you think, between President Trump and Speaker Ryan at this point?
Well, it's actually very funny to watch because if you watch Speaker Ryan and his allies, they talk about how the president is going to get this across the finish line. And then if you listen to White House administration officials, they talk about how Speaker Ryan is going to get this across the finish line. I think at the end of the day, it is highly likely that this does pass the House of Representatives. In fact, I would be shocked if it failed in that vote on Thursday. I don't think they would put it before the full House if they weren't confident that they could get it through. And they're going to get it through in part because I think members recognize that this is just the first step in what's going to be a long process. The Senate passage is going to be even tougher than the House passage. And then, of course, you're going to have to reconcile whatever the Senate passes with what the House passes. So Thursday is an important step. I think both the president and Speaker Ryan will deserve credit, assuming that it passes.
Let me ask you about the president's travel ban. He says that he's going to fight all the way to the Supreme Court to restore his travel ban. I wonder, do you think that changes the conversation at all when the confirmation hearings for Judge Gorsuch get underway this week?
It's a distraction. I mean, obviously, the president and the administration would rather not be losing all these battles regarding the travel ban in the lower courts. And it's an issue that I'm sure that Gorsuch will be asked about as confirmation hearing. But he's a smart judge. He knows that he should not weigh in on a decision or a case that will likely end up before the Supreme Court once he's on it. So I'd be shocked if he actually weighed in on it. Of course, it is something that he's going to be asked about.
All right, Alex Conant, always great to have your perspective. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you very much.